Hey, good to see everybody. Let's give it another minute. Hey, everybody. Hi. We're starting the April immersion today. Hey, Elijah. It's helpful if I can see your whole body. It's okay if I can't, like today, don't like fuss with your camera over and over, but like it's helpful if I can see your body. Good to see everybody. Okay. Yep. So if possible, again, it's helpful to see your whole body. So let's get started. I want to go through some basics here to start. So, in general, walking around in daily life, the lower body should be, is naturally substantial and full and like it's being pulled into the center of the earth. The lower body is naturally being pulled into the center of the earth. Okay. And there's a point behind the pad of the foot, sort of the behind the pad of the foot, the bubbling well, maybe even slightly back, the bubbling well, and maybe feeling into that spot there behind the pad of the foot, and just like maybe tree roots are just growing down into the earth there, or maybe up from the earth, up through the center of your lower leg. So the lower body is dynamic. The knees are bent. We're not locking the knees. And it's like the lower body's being pulled into the earth. The pelvis should be neutral. So it shouldn't be locked this way or that way. You can kind of, if someone banged on your knees and you went straight down, that's usually kind of neutral. So finding that the pelvic floor in general is dynamic. We're not clenching it like we're not gripping at the pelvic floor, but there's a dynamic sense of slight kind of lift through the pelvic floor, which will naturally start to occur as we get involved with the central channel more. The focus this week and really the whole immersion is the lower dantian. We could spend forever working on the lower dantian, 2 or 3 centimeters below the navel, in the middle of the belly. Often people feel the tendon, the lower dantian, in the lower back first. This is Mingman here. And often people feel the tendon first in the lower back in sitting, in standing. So just being curious about it, not trying to make the energy go there, just being curious about it. The quad, where the thigh meets the pelvis, this sort of deep pelvis, this sort of crease here. We're softening through the quad. This takes a long time. Softening through the quad, like we're gently sitting down through the quad. And letting the whole upper body be expansive, buoyant. And at the top of the head, above the ears, near the fontanelle point, like a little hook is gently pulling the top of the head up there. That will naturally tuck the chin. There will be space in between the vertebrae. So there's a little bit of a contrast between the sacrum is going down and the base of the skull is going up. We're not forcing that in any way. Tongue lays along the roof of the mouth. The eyes are open and soft. It's good to have a habit that they're open. The eyes, sometimes they'll close. People have times when they can't open their eyes, but in general, the habit should be that they're open, like you're staring at the horizon, a spot on the horizon. They'll, again, the tongue lays along the roof of the mouth, and then little space underneath the armpits. Nothing dramatic, but a little buoyancy underneath the armpits. The elbows are round and soft. The hands are full, like there are cotton balls in between the fingers. Your feet shouldn't be further out than your knees. Sometimes I'll see that people look kind of knock-kneed. We're not looking for that. It should be that your knees are over your feet. And we're here doing these practices this month. We're not like gathering more information. Everybody's got information. There's so much information. I'm going to learn this practice and then that practice. Here, let's move out of that mindset. We're digging into this experience, this unknown for this month. We're moving away from mental understanding and more into this felt sense transformation process. Okay, let's get started. My hands are out to the side here. So like I'm drawing a gun. And when I do that, I want to soften my chest and my back. I want to do a little quick warm-up. I've already talked a lot. Let's do a little quick warm-up and then we'll get going. I want to pour all my weight into my left leg. So it's like I'm pouring a pitcher of whatever, root beer, whatever you like, down through the left quad, down through the center of the leg into the center of the earth, and then I'm mobilizing my right ankle. I'm using the ground like a wall that I could stand up from. So instead of leaning on my body somewhere to hold myself up, I'm leaning into the ground. The ground is the wall I'm leaning into to stand up. Changing direction. And then pouring all the weight into the other leg and mobilizing. So now I'm mobilizing my left ankle, but all my weight's in my right leg. And then I'm stacking my body from the ground through the top of the head. Good to see everybody. Thanks for being here. Changing direction. And then feet together, and let's warm up the knees a little bit. Circles with the knees. I'm not putting weight on my hands. Thanks, Felipe, for doing those 108 bows. It's a little workout. And changing direction. And then coming up to my feet are now shoulder width, and I'm making circles with my pelvis here. My head staying in the same spot, basically. And here I'm not taking my joints to extreme. If I take my joint to extreme, my pelvis to extreme, I feel my whole fascial system kind of lock up. And I don't want to do that. I want to keep my whole fascial system soft, a little bit slack. So I'm not going to extreme. And the whole time I'm leaning into the ground to move. If I lay on my structure, if I go to extreme, I'm laying on my joint. Instead, I'm laying into the ground. Stacking from the ground. And changing direction. And throughout the whole practice, let's be aware of the tanden, the lower dantian. How's it involved? How's it showing up? From the ground, like I'm using the ground again like a wall, and I'm going to stand up and roll my shoulders forward from the ground, using the ground like a wall and rolling my shoulders forward. Rolling the shoulders forward and then rolling back from the bubbling well, rolling the shoulders back. Like there's a pure vertical line, and I'm organizing around that pure vertical line from the center of the earth through the top of the head. Great. Pouring the weight into my left leg and my right shoulder. I'm connecting from my left foot to my right shoulder and rolling that forward. And then pouring all my weight into my right leg and rolling my left shoulder forward. So I feel this as helping me open up the qua through the pelvis, helping me connect from the ground all the way to my shoulder. And what I'll see with people here is they're just locked up in the pelvis. So we really want to feel dynamic movement through the pelvis here. Tongue on the roof of the mouth. And then rolling back when I'm sinking and rolling, sinking and rolling. Good. We will have a discussion call after this. Please join if you can. Our first discussion call is just right after this on the same link. Great. And how about letting the arms just drop here? And then again, like there's this pure vertical line from the center of the earth through the bow waypoint. And I'm just going to start to rotate around that. I'm letting my arms go completely. I'm not doing anything with my arms. Tongue is on the roof of the mouth. And I'm just rotating around this pure vertical. All the movement should come from the ground through the pelvis. And the arms are just the end of the whip. We're not doing anything with the arms. So don't like be seduced to swing those arms. We used to have the Zazenkai in Japan, and all the macho men, Japanese men would swing their arms super hard. Okay. I want to keep it just really simple today. Let's come into Wuji. Our first posture, shoulder width, knees bent, finding the bubbling well, neutral pelvis, pelvic floor is dynamic, feeling the tanden. Let go of the chest and release behind the chest. There's space at the base of the skull. The tongue is on the roof of the mouth. The eyes are open. The byway point is expansive. Space underneath the armpits naturally here. So if your shoulders are totally dropped here, that's okay. But just opening up to the possibility that there's some expansiveness coming through the body, which will lift those shoulders. Not with I'm not pulling them up. Just opening to the possibility there's a little space. that could create a little bit of space underneath those armpits. With these practices, we want to not be a hero. So when we go into these postures, I'm going to start with 5 minutes for new people, and we're gonna go into them. And when you hit your limit, go back to Wuji. That's okay. Don't be a hero. Don't go for 15 minutes right away. Do 5 minutes, and when you're ready, do 5.5. So we're not kind of pulverizing the system or putting it into fight or flight here. These are real practices. There's a lot to them, and we can overwhelm our system. Sitting straight down, like we're sitting down on a yoga ball. So I'm sitting down, my feet are parallel. I can see my toes still when I sink down. And then I'm letting my arms, it's like they're being just kind of blown up by this buoyancy. My arms are just buoying up to about the height of my heart. I'm not pulling my arm up from my shoulder. I'm letting the ground do the work. So is there a way that you could find a pathway to the ground to support your hand? Tongue on the roof of the mouth. We're not breathing any certain way here. We're not creating a special breath. I would suggest you let go of all breathing techniques here. So the hands should be the middle fingers pointing at the other middle finger. My first knuckle, it's like a little string is pulling that first knuckle up. So if I don't see your thumb, if it's like behind your hand, that means it's inside the tree. Okay, you want it more that first knuckle's being pulled up. And then sitting down on that yoga ball. This is lower body work. Don't try to make the energy go anywhere. We're letting the system run free. We're not trying to make the energy do anything. With these postures in the class, just really simple, just do the postures. I don't make up anything here. Can do that another time, but here in the classes, just follow the postures. And within this posture, we're letting all the movement happen on the inside. So we're not holding ourselves rigid here. We're in the posture, and there's all this internal change happening, internal releasing, internal movement, and we're letting that all run free within the posture. We're not chasing that ball away. We're not running after it. Okay. And then another thing I see with people is they're kind of like, they're not really engaged. Like, oh, I don't really know what's going on, Core. You want a sense of kind of fullness in the hands, like they're expanding outwards, and that will mirror the lower back. So there's a sense of expansiveness here. Your arms should look round, like you're hugging a tree, not like you're like a, hermit crab or something. Lobster arms. And they should look alive, like not no T-Rex arms, like they look like they're kind of dead. You want your arms to kind of fill up. It's like you're this balloon being blown up. anywhere that's gripping, I'm in this posture and I'm releasing anywhere that's gripping. And the posture should be a little bit challenging. It should be like, okay, this has me on a little bit of an edge here. And that edge reveals where I'm gripping. People come in with a lot of energy issues, and these postures, they're a way to start to be able to interact with those issues. Maybe you feel like I don't have enough energy, I have too much energy, I feel like I get smeared by the energy, I feel exhausted all the time. Here we can start to harmonize with all that. Like, oh, I can finally touch that, I can work with it. That's about it's about 5 minutes. So we're going to do 10 here, and new people, if you hit your limit, you can go back to Wuji, or you can go into, I like this one, standing in the lake. My hands are straight out here. Okay. We're going to stay hugging the tree. If it's, again, if it's not challenging, like you got to sit down on that yoga ball a little bit. What people do, what new people, what they do is they kind of stand up. They're like, well, it got easy. Well, it's because you stood up. Sink down. Make sure you're sitting down, and then it might become easy, but it's more like this internal opening happened rather than I stood up. Good to see you, Anansi. Welcome, sir. Like a balloon being blown up. So it's blowing up the front, it's blowing up the sides, the back. It's blowing into the ground, it's blowing above my head. And the center of all that is the Tamden. And I just would be curious, is there something going on here that maybe I haven't tracked before? There's something kind of below my radar that's happening. And I can feel that. I'm not sure I can work with it yet, but I can feel that. And it's doing something. And I think that's important. Just curious about that. Something's happening here. Something's trying to happen. I don't understand it, but something's trying to happen. 2 more minutes. Some of us, work too hard. We need to learn to come back, stop. Our way of doing this is to kind of attack, and maybe we need to back off a little bit. And some of us need to engage more. So we're learning that here. Like, oh, when I don't engage, nothing happens. And when I over engage, I block everything. lower body sinking into the earth, upper bodies floating up to the heavens. I remember my first Sanzen with the Roshi, he talked about that. It's called Kuden, these oral tips, oral pointers from the teacher. This is a cellular body practice. Again, if you hit your limit, you can go back to Wuji. That's just fine. Good. Good. And letting the arms come down. Maybe it feels like they're kind of buoyant somehow, like they're just floating down on this buoyancy. And I'm just going to let them kind of float down back to Wuji. And I want to just take a minute and just let Wuji just reboot in space. So maybe my pelvis finds maybe a slightly different place to land. The top of the head is maybe shining up. There's space in the body that I didn't feel before. The joints can let go. What is it that's really happening here? We're not here just like falling in love with Chinese culture. We're here to use these practices to discover what we are, discover this great life energy. Let's take the hands out in front of the belly here. So here, pointing the hands, the fingers slightly down, the elbows are slightly raised. And then I feel a sense of fullness in my lower back in Mingmon that's mirroring the hands here. So they're expansive and my lower back is expansive. And then I want to take that, maybe I'm holding this ball, I'm going to take that ball around my lower body here. And I'm just going to grab it over here and I'm going to keep going. And you can maybe imagine that lake water. We're just taking that lake water like a whirlpool, and in the middle of the whirlpool is the tandem. We want to learn to feel, work with the energy. Like it's, I'm not talking about a concept. I'm feeling, working with the energy. There's a pace where it'll feel much more real, much bigger. And we're learning to work with that. Some of us, you go too fast, you get overwhelmed, you feel terrible. Or maybe you go too slow, you feel really good, and then you start to space out. I'm being really spiritual, and then you left. So there's a real kind of sweet spot here, there's an edge to this from I'm engaging with this. I can work with it. And then changing direction. Like my whole body's this question mark. Coming back. Let's do a little bit of the eight-folded brocade today. We might not do the whole thing, but let's get started. Holding the ball in front of the belly. And is there a way for me, I hold the ball and my whole body kind of opens up and the ball becomes more real. So we're looking for that. We start to become like trackers, like, oh, I don't know where I'm going, but something interesting is happening here. Something interesting is happening when I'm connecting with it. Sinking, putting the palms flat, putting them up. My elbows are heavy, and my tongue's on the roof of the mouth, pushing up the heavens, lifting up the heavens. I never lock my knees here. And then down to about the shoulders. And then every cell is lifting up the heavens. Traditionally exhaling as we extend. But don't force the breath. What will happen is as the energy builds, our breath will start to do interesting things. So don't force the breath. We're digging in this month. We're going into the cells. We're taking some time to dig deep here. And one more at your own pace. Good. Coming back down, holding the ball. Again, is there a way that that ball starts to feel more real? Like, what do I do with my structure? Let that ball start to show up more. And now I'm turning, my nose is over my navel. I'm turning to the right and I'm pouring all my weight through the right quad, down through the center of the leg, through the bubbling well into the center of the earth. And I'm in that right leg. And now I'm going to draw the bow. I'm taking in my elbow straight here. I'm pulling the bow. My left palm is flat. I'm sinking into that right leg, drawing the bow. Standing up, crossing the legs, pouring the weight into the other leg, drawing the bow. Traditionally exhaling as we draw the bow. Some of us are kind of going in five directions, but could we start to bring everything into one? It's like, I'm just doing this. My whole being is just doing this. My tailbone is pointing straight down. I'm sitting down on that yoga ball the whole time. This is leg work. So if you're kind of up here, you got to sit down on that yoga ball. We're way in our heads. We're way in our upper body. Here, we're doing this lower body work. Great. Coming back, holding the ball. My nose is over my navel. I'm in that right leg, and now I'm turning. For those who've been doing this a while, I'm opening the right quad, opening the right quad. As my right hand goes down, I'm pouring my weight into my right leg as my left palm goes up. So I'm sinking into that right leg as my left palm goes up. So my left palm goes up, I'm pouring into my right leg. And now turning and pouring the weight into the left leg, and my hands come back together, and then my right hand goes up, separating heaven and earth. So pouring into the left leg, the right hand goes up, and I come back to neutral. Pouring. And again, those who've been doing this a while, let the movement come through the legs, through the pelvis, and the arms are just sort of the whip, the end of the whip of that movement through the pelvis. Your spine's long, tongue is on the roof of the mouth. And the energy is, we're looking to be able to interact with the energy. It'll feel like I'm kind of pulling this ball of dough apart. There should be some resistance at your hands, and then I'm compressing that ball back together and then pulling it apart. Don't worry if you get a little confused at first here, it'll all come. It'll all come. Just sit pouring your weight into one leg and the opposite arm goes up. Good. Good. Coming back. Holding the ball. Let's do this one, bringing the hands back up to how we were hugging the tree. And now I'm going to turn my hands out and I'm turning to the right. So I'm looking behind me, cow gazes at the moon. Then I'm coming back and I'm going to hug the tree again. My palms are coming back towards me. And now I'm going to add the leg part. So I'm pouring my weight into my right leg, my hands turn out, and I'm turning to the left. So my weight's in my right leg as I turn to the left. The byway point is expansive the whole time. There's a pace here that it's going to feel different. It's going to feel like, oh, I think I can start to move with everything instead of fighting, instead of being in kind of chaos moving around. All my cells are trying to go into this one direction. And once you start to feel that, it'll be this different type of joy that you can't understand, but I feel good. I don't know why I feel good. Maybe you never felt good in that way. Great, great. I want to skip and do one more movement, and then I want to go into the non-directed. Let's standing in the lake up to our waist. Let's gather the lake water forward, turning my palms down, and I'm brushing the outside of my ankles, coming up the back of my legs with the heels of my wrist are nurturing the kidneys, sinking gathering, brushing the ankles, nurturing the kidneys. They say nurturing the loins is what they say, which I don't really want to say, but nurturing the kidneys. You should feel like you're interacting with this, again, this water, this, like I'm standing in this water and I'm gathering it. We're really living in this sea of chi. It's not a concept. Okay. Let's do one more. Keeping it really simple today. And I'd like to move into the non-directed now. So maybe people have a formal practice, a formal sitting practice, where they're thinking about their posture constantly, or they're trying to do something with the energy or their breath. I want you just to suspend that for a few minutes. So just stand there. Like, what are we? We don't know. We're just feeling. We have no idea. We're just standing here and we're letting the body take over for whatever, 10 minutes. I have no idea what's going to happen in this 10 minutes. I'm not trying to have my breath do anything. I'm not hoping that the energy does something. I'm giving total permission to feel exactly what I'm feeling. Like maybe some of us, we're trying to find a way not to feel what we're feeling. Even people who have been doing real Zen training for a long time, they're kind of trying not to feel that, but we're going to just give it a chance. We're going to feel exactly what we're feeling for this 10 minutes. So don't curate your experience in any way. It's okay if nothing happens. It's okay if absolutely nothing happens. It's okay if you end up on the floor. It's okay if you end up crying on the ground or in some dynamic position. That's all allowed here. Don't create anything, but don't block it either. And I would just check to see if you aren't somehow planning something or directing something. And I would try to really creatively let go of that gear that you're used to doing. Don't dive out with your attention. Just stay where you are. Don't do anything. So instead of some kind of movement you might think of doing, just pause that. Don't do that movement. There's something deeper perhaps emerging out of your system that we can't feel because of the noise of we're always trying to making something happen. So just don't do anything. Just wait. To see that every people stand and then they got to start to get a little bored and they sway their hips or they'll do a little something and instead just wait. Just bravely face what's happening. Maybe it's like you're in this room and you wouldn't notice it, but you stopped, and then you start to hear the refrigerator running or the clock ticking. You couldn't hear it, but now that you've slowed down, there's this other gear of movement there that's always, always, always there. How can I be more honest with what's happening? What's really happening here? It's okay if you're scared. At some point, you're going to be scared. It's okay if you don't know what's happening. It's like you don't have any language for it. It's okay just being with that. It's okay if I like this language yesterday. It's spooky. Can get spooky. Love that. With the non-directed, some people immediately go into movement, and maybe they're good at that. And I'd be curious about that. And also, some people never, ever, ever move. And I also would be curious about that. Like maybe that's a mode we're good at. So I'd be curious if something else isn't happening that we're kind of avoiding by what we're good at. Then within, letting the system have free reign. I'd be curious about the lower dantian. I wouldn't try to make anything happen there. I'd just be curious about it. What's going on there? Hey, and now coming back, I would check in with your feet. Like, did they somehow get like pulled into the ground, like melt into the floor, like they're in concrete? They're it melted into the ground. Really interesting. Or your hands filled up somehow. I didn't do anything, but my body started to fill up in this way. It wasn't something I did. Now let's take 3 big movements gathering down to the lower dantian. And notice how the room has changed just in this whatever hour. I'm gathering down to the lower dantian. 3 big movements. And then at the end of 3, women put the left hand on the tendon, right hand on top. Men put the right hand on the tendon, left hand on top. And we're sealing the tendon. Let's rub our hands together and rubbing or patting down the body, rubbing anywhere the body feels kind of stiff or the energy stuck, rub it, pat it. Down the outside of the arms, up the inside. Anywhere particularly hurts, I rub it more. Get the ribs, get the armpits, get the kidneys on the lower back. Really important for the tendon work, the kidneys. Down the outside of the legs, up the inside, down the outside, up the inside. Down the back of the front, back legs up the front. Down the back of the legs up the front. I recommend everybody do their 30 minutes of Wuji / non-directed a day as the base of practice. And then all the practice happens on top of that for the immersion. And I recommend 90 minutes if you can every day or more. More is better for the immersion. But I recommend that 30 minutes and what you'll see is, oh, there's something interesting going on here. And then that will inform all the rest of the practice. I'm going to give a little bow. Thank you so much. We've got our call here in 5 minutes. Let's take a bathroom break. Please join. Everybody here is welcome to join. And if not, see you later. Thanks so much. I accidentally tried to end the meeting. I don't need to do that. How do I do that? Oh, wait, okay, good. Hey, great to see everybody. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's get started. Um, I would love to hear from people questions about practice. They can be really basic, clear, like what do I do with my foot? You know what I mean? What do I do with my knee? They can be energetic questions. They can be whatever, Buddhist, whatever. There's a lot of experience here. Some really, really experienced people here. So, um, and it's a safe space. So please feel free to share your thoughts and questions, concerns, insights, and those. Please don't hijack the call. Like, let's let everyone talk. Um, and your question will definitely help someone else. So the question you have, I'm sure, several people have that same question. Okay. So let it rip. Um, about practice. Good to see you, Michael. Haha, good to see you, man.
I have a question for the,
Great.
yeah, good to be here. For the non-directed, are you starting in Wuji as your kind of baseline, or is it just standing however, or like what's the pose where you're waiting for anything to arise? Is it the Wuji or something else?
I would start in a really unstructured Wuji. That's what I would do. Um, I had to figure out who was talking there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would start with a really unstructured Wuji, and then I do think that being vertical is interesting. So people will end up on the ground, um, and that's really common. Um, and I recommend if they've been on the ground for a while, they stand back up because there's something about being vertical. And for me, with my background, being vertical, it puts a little bit of pressure on the tendon, and that tendon I think is interesting for that the process that starts to happen. So I'm a little bit different than the original non-directed folks because of my practice in Japan, where there was special times when people stayed vertical, they didn't lay down and so there's something important that can happen when we're vertical. So I would recommend starting, yeah, in a real unstructured Wuji, not a like I wouldn't be trying to have any posture happening. And I'll say this 20 times and people will still say, but should I have a posture? Like, should I be doing this? You know, and because the non-directed is so out there for people, it's very hard for a lot of people because they're here asking for, tell me what to do. So the non-directed is really hard for some people, but and then some people love it, and that's another, so we got to play with both sides. Um, but yeah, I'd start off with a really, really unstructured Wuji, and what will happen is after 10 minutes, the body it'll kind of like get bored in space, or it'll start to lose its good posture, and then something interesting might start to take over. And I'm really looking for that. Um, so what are we? What is it that's standing here? And we start to get a sense of that. And I wanted to say this in class today, but I felt like I was just yapping like crazy. But um, some people are in their practice. Like I talked to a Zen teacher yesterday, and he was like, I practiced for like 15 years, and there's this part of me that like I'm totally afraid of letting come through. And and so I was kind of saying like, well, I'm here hoping that you have permission to take some time to let that come through. Like face that, let that come through. And you have to. Um, Partly because the body will break down within that at a certain point. If there's an energy aspect, the body won't be able to handle that if you're holding this energy at bay in a certain way. Um, but so for all of us, like facing what's happening, maybe it's finally like I've been maybe I've been doing practice for 10 years to not feel that and or to whatever practice that is. And but here, taking that time, maybe it's for non-directive, maybe it's an hour, maybe it's a half hour. I used to do an hour every day in Japan and taking that time and I'm just going to face exactly, I'm going to let exactly what's coming through or what's there that I'm always maybe afraid to feel. I'm going to let that come through. And when I did that, my whole practice made a huge change. So I'm trying to give people permission to feel that.
I have a question slash comment.
Yeah.
Um, I haven't been practicing as much recently, and I'm coming back to it now. And I don't know if you all experience this with any practice, but sometimes when you come back to it, it's easier. Like the hangups you used to have aren't there. And so in some ways, I wonder, does that mean that like continual practice for me means accruing, I don't want to say bad habits, but like unnecessary focus on certain things that like then build up like pressure in the chest or like that type of thing. A- and then like you know what I mean, and then like then what does that mean about practice too? Like obviously it's good to take breaks, but yeah, it's kind of an open-ended comment. I don't know if I have much more to say.
Anybody, I'm not going to just be the microphone here. Other people, please chime in if you.
I mean, the first thing that popped up for me is that a teacher often say to me, enthusiasm is a negative emotion. Um, you know, that's when you leave and you come back, you don't have that same I'm gonna do it kind of feeling. Um, and that helps in some regard. I mean, if you don't have any energy, that also is a problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I don't.
guess. Oh, sorry.
I think the only thing, like, I really resonate with what Elijah said. I feel like, what came to me is like, I have like a certain idea of practice that builds up, even with instruction. It's like, don't have any ideas about practice. Like, it'll start landing in a certain way, and that way will just keep getting reinforced, and then slowly I'll like keep doing a thing. And so I do think not for just this practice, but like everything, especially like meditation type stuff. Um, Having time away and like having different practices to like shake me up and shake me out of whatever I was in is really important. Otherwise, no matter what the practice is, I always end up falling into some kind of rut.
From my perspective, like so Genji, there's no breaks, zero breaks, no breaks ever. And and it's hard. It sucks. Like and the you practice and the practice makes you feel worse. Yeah, it makes you feel worse every day. Like I feel bad. I feel bad. When I practice, I feel bad. you know, and but there's something about having to be creative within that, I think, which is really interesting. So like I'm banging against this every day. And then because of necessity, I got to change. I've got to change within that. and that's called Khufu, creativity and practice. And I think there's something to that which is interesting. Um, and then I hear people too, like I remember everybody knows Yusan Doyu, but Doyu he went to Mario Mantis. He's this famous like guy that is involved. He's like a what's the band? What was the band? Timothy Heatwave? No, anyway, he's a famous drummer that got killed. He got like stabbed and he became a enlightened master. But anyway, he told Doyu, don't stop practicing for 5 days. And and Doyu he's like, I have to practice. I have to do my Tai Chi every day. And so we get like paralyzed by our practice too, where like it's like a thing we have to do. And there's like the schedule is God, and what happens when we don't have that, or we don't have the practice to lean on as our measuring stick. And I think that is interesting to play with that. We should look up who Mario was in the band for, because it's really interesting. Um, um, but Yeah, and so I don't know. I think it's interesting to play with both of those. I think every day doing practice, it does like the energy's there, and then we're banging against those places, and then we have to change. And then the energy goes down, we don't do it, we come back, and yeah, we feel good maybe because the energy's not quite as full, and then we're not having to like, oh, I'm confronted immediately with that. So um I think it's an interesting dance to play with. Cheng Man Ching said always, every day, never miss a day of Tai Chi. So there's that. Um, but I think finding it for each of ourselves is important. I try to never miss a day. I don't think the Roshi ever missed Choka. Like I don't think he missed the Choka in like 70 years. You know.
Hi, Corey. Good to have you
Hey,
back from Mexico. Um,
thank you.
I have a question which kind of ties into what you just mentioned. So I've been practicing quite diligently, and what I notice, I have this shoulder injury, and it also goes a bit into the back. And so I've just been basically standing with hugging the tree or holding the great ball, and I really feel the area light up. And then I have my coping patterns that want to kind of crack the back and whatnot. And I don't do that. And I feel like, that's interesting to play with. And it is. But then now I feel like there's a certain tightness that is maybe revealed or like playing itself out, which just lasts a long time. It's not just in the session. And would you just continue like that and just see how it kind of unfolds, or would you back off with that? Or so the difference for me is it doesn't feel just energetic, which I kind of know more to work with, but more structural. And I mean, okay, you can also say on what level is it energetic again, but yeah.
For me personally, for me, I would um I would find a way within the practice to have to find that creative way that it's trying to open up. And I would adjust it probably, but I would still practice. That's my style. That's what I would do. Um, because I feel like it, touching into this process is so important and transformative. I feel like what we need to do is have the language ability, the internal language ability to interact with it, and stepping away from it. I'm not sure. It could be that in Dr. Bill, he's like, we got to talk to Bill because he knows, he's a doctor. But so maybe you have to rest. Ask the doctor. Okay, and if the doctor says you're okay, keep going, then I've had injuries that I've had to work with, shoulder injuries that I've had to work with, and the ZZ the Jamjong, it's what helped it as a part of several things, but I had to within that learn to release within it and have the body change. So I'd play with it. I'd talk to the doctor, make sure it's okay, and then um, you may adjust, may go less, but I would keep going personally. That's what I would do. And it's not that you have to practice the same, it's that within the practice, I change it. Within the posture, I'm changing. I'm learning within the posture. Oh, that doesn't work. Like I'm holding my shoulder wrong. That's the problem. So within it, it forces me to see, oh, my body doesn't work that way. That was like it was a misunderstanding that I was involved in, and the practice showed me how to change that. But yeah, that's Bill. Bill's a doc.
No, thank you.
Injuries like shoulders. I mean, I'm thinking shoulders specifically. Like, I mean, you can for sure there can be all sorts of injuries, right? Like rotator cuff or the labrum or arthritic changes or adhesive capsulitis. Like say that we get ourselves in it, we've done some kind of damage, got ourselves into trouble. Like with this kind of practice, there's very little more damage that we're going to do, right? Like, I mean, like we never recommend to anybody do nothing, right? Like do nothing is a way to decondition and to find ourselves in a much worse state. I mean, one thing if to say you're a major league pitcher and we're saying, okay, like we don't want you to pitch anymore with that kind of velocity and speed and intensity, but everything that we're doing in ZZ or non-directed, like it's the antithesis of intensity, right? Like we're literally saying like what is less, what is less. So yeah, and pain is a funny thing, right? Like pain, the goal shouldn't be no pain. We certainly don't want to be aggravating. Like that's probably the wrong direction if we're aggravating it. But really come to a relationship with pain, especially if it's something of a chronic nature. Like no pain isn't the goal, right? So yeah, I would just think again, Corey asked me to speak from a physician's position here, but I think for the most part, we're not wanting deconditioning. We're not wanting stopping. We're learning to find a way to meet that pain and move with it. And I think this practice, again, I love that idea of the creativity. It does offer up non-mechanical ways to be with it, right? Like it's not mechanical motion may have got us into a problem. So it's not going to be another mechanical motion that gets us out, right? We have all of these possibilities. So, and just even one last comment, just sort of historically, like the non-directed was actually developed, and although Corey has a different approach, was developed by an osteopathic physician to treat, these chronic sort of elements that have lodged in the body. So in some ways, this is a massive treatment. If you wanted to minimize it, you could think of it as a massive treatment strategy.
Yeah, I would do the non-directed. I would totally do the non-directed. Love it. Yeah. Yep. That's how I work with injuries, by the way, just to say. No, I love it. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, thank you, you too.
Just adding something to this. Yeah, so like I've had seemingly chronic endless pain, like also in the shoulder in the past. And it's like I really don't have anything. Like I didn't break anything. There's no clinical stuff behind that. So what is going on? And for me, like what I discovered, and sometimes like there's this pain that appears like in the knee or something, and it's kind of there's really no source. Um, and it's always that I'm holding onto something like, of course, there's like I'm not like fully opening to like this moment, but there's even like just more superficial stuff like this feeling that I'm keeping to myself because I want to like be this stoic person that doesn't that is not affected by stuff and stuff and sometimes and for me the like it used to be a big thing And once I saw this, like, it's like, oh, the knee is kind of being silly. Oh shit! Yesterday I had this argument and I kind of closed up after that, and oh man, just talk, and then it just goes away. So it's a great, like, just like the tension in the Yang Zhang is telling us where we're stuck. The pain is also like, maybe it might be, if it's not like a clinical or structural deeper issue, it might be telling you where you're stuck as well.
A useful story that was recent. I injured myself in ZZ about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and but the story is a useful tale, because I was just standing hugging the tree, and things were opening, and I was like, oh, that's off, like, so my second rib where it articulates with the spine, I felt this nice, like, oh, I can feel into that. It let me feel into it. But I thought, oh, now that I felt into it, I'm going to do like a HVLA, like a chiropractic like energy. I'm gonna finish the job. I'm gonna really open that up, but it was all open, right? So everything was open nicely, and I just did this, like, just a little, barely anything at all. And then I was like, I can't breathe. The whole, like, I just, and I paid for it for 4 weeks of back and neck pain. And I just said, oh, it's so stupid. Like, I could have just let the process keep doing it. But no, my head said, I can advance this. I can make this go faster. And for brief, like all of 3 seconds, it felt wonderful. Like, it was like, oh, like this great opening. And then the body went, nope, and just shut the whole thing down. And it affected my practice for, like I said, well, my quality of life for about 4 weeks. And it worked its way through. But like, this was an example of, like, but this was me, like, adding something in to, like, and the process was opening. Like, I'm very curious where it would have gone if I had done nothing. And so anyway, that's a tale of caution.
Man, I know so well. I know so well. Um, who else? Please, Dozo, please, let's hear. Anybody wants to? Yep. Mario, heat wave. Look it up. Heat wave. Crazy story. Mario Mantis.
I would like to add something in the similar vein of what we were talking about. Like just 2 weeks ago, I did when we practiced on the Saturday, and I went to the two classes, and the non-directed it felt good in the afternoon, and I was like proud of myself and stuff. And just as that ended, my laundry was finished, so I went to grab it from the dryer, pile it on the ground, and I start like tying up my clothes. And it's so stupid. I don't know what happened, but in my lower back, something like an old injury or something that just woke up. Everything was going so well that day. But yeah, for 2 weeks now, I was like half paralyzed. Not paralyzed, but all my practice was affected by it. I was like, oh, okay, you win, body. I'm going to be gentle with you now. And yeah, just surrender to the pain or something. Can't make it go away. It's trying to show me something now. Like to bring me down to earth. I was like, yeah. But maybe not as bad as you got it, Bill.
Hey everybody. Um, I'm pretty new to the practice, especially non-directed stuff. And yeah, I guess what it feels like when I'm doing non-directed is that slowly I just like do less and less, and then I'm laying on the ground with like a slack jaw, like really just muscles just keep relaxing and relaxing, and I don't know. I don't at this point really understand how you would be like standing up. And I'm not sure. It seems like a big difference to be like, I don't know. I'm not attempting to interpret the instruction at all, but the way that it is going for me is this very specific extreme of total relaxation, I suppose. And yeah, so I'm just not, I don't know. I'm confused about why that's happening. It feels like a limit, a limited, well, just a single facet of what that practice could be. And it feels like I'm the rest of it isn't quite accessible from what's happening with me right now, if that makes sense.
I'd love to hear people, especially with some experience, talk about non-directed for them. That'd be helpful, I think, maybe. Anybody want to chime in about it?
Can you guys hear me right now?
Yes.
Yeah, so sorry, I'm just driving my son to grandma's right now. But an interesting sort of counter to that, I have never fallen on the floor. I can't even imagine falling on the floor. Like it's completely anathema to my what the non-directed is like for me. Um, and so I guess I've always been curious, like what the hell is holding me up here? Like why won't I fall? So a lot of people report this like falling thing, and I don't think it's necessarily that falling's good or staying up is good. So perhaps, and this is all sort of I think we got a whole explanations for what's happening very lightly, but perhaps for me it's something like there's a tension in me that just like I don't want to let go. And this happens for me in like my Zen practice as well, that there's almost like a tightness or like this desire to keep rigid, to not falter. And so it could be sort of um like your body's less energetic in a way. I don't know. I'm just sort of we're throwing darts at the wall with the blindfold on. But I think ultimately just be really curious about whatever the heck is happening there, because that's always sort of what's helped progress things for me. It's just like continually being like, what the heck's happening here? What is this body? So yeah, that's my experience at least.
That's really interesting, Michael. Yeah, thank you. And I am curious. My fear is that it's a deep underlying desire to not exist. Not in a bad or dangerous way, but just in, I don't know, in exactly the way I've said it.
I don't want
Anybody?
to delve. I don't want to delve too much into like the Buddhist stuff, but maybe perhaps it's not like just like I don't want myself to exist, but I want those boundaries between self and world to be like so porous that like you can't really tell where I am and the world begins. So it's maybe not necessarily like a nihilistic thing. I don't know if you're taking a nihilistic direction, but um, I think there's lots of different possible explanations, and that for me is what gets the curiosity really going. Like Core says, it's like we're diving into this great unknown, and for my mind at least, I have a mind that likes explanations, and what's helped me at least with curiosity is just being like, wow, there's so many possible explanations of like what could be going on here that it's just like for me it brings that joy of practice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Anybody else want to throw something out there about the non-directed? Um, Anybody, June? I don't know. Anybody want to throw a little bit out there about how it's what happens for them? Bye, Chris. Bye, thank you. Hasta luego.
We were talking about this, and what came to me was it's often not this or that, and and it's not this or that, and then getting over this and that in non-directed is kind of the mystery. Am I trying to do something? Am I trying not to do something? You know, it's so easy to just get swirled up in either one. And this is giving us a dojo or a workshop to touch something that is not this or that, not giving up or doing it. And it's not some weird middle value between them. There's just, you can't put it into words. This is why it's all so difficult to talk about, but it gives you the workshop to really touch it and feel it, be with it. And for, you know, all of our personal karma and background, whether or not we're caught up in this or that is going to be different. You know, some people, we got our sphincter super tight and we got white knuckling and we're trying to do it. Other people are, you know, like, fuck it all, let it go. And they're trying, the effort is in the attachment, is in the letting go. You know, but there is this, even a third puts us in, when I say third, puts us in this or that, right? But there's this mystery when we just stick with it and just stick with it, watch, be attentive, be patient. The mind is going to try to do its thing regardless of what you do. There's going to be something that is just going to be attaching and flowing in each moment and watching. That's natural. That's part of being a living being, right? And just watch, experience, and then like just in this quiet voice with the crows cawing, the sunshine coming through your window, the hum of the refrigerator, the hum of your computer fan, whatever. You'll notice it if you give the space to it. That's kind of my experience.
Thanks, Elijah.
One, maybe just as a kind of maybe a more pragmatic tip, and I mean that sort of maybe goes against what the notion of non-directed is. But let's say, you know, sometimes we refer to it as just standing. We're just standing. But in the middle of just standing, my attention, of course, will go many different places. And if sometimes when I'm finding there's so many competing things, I'm finding it hard to release into it. I will often, you know, will think of Corey's reminder of what's my breath as it is. You know, my attention just go, I'm standing, and what is just this breath as it is? And if I think about my breath as it is, I'm not going to collapse to the floor. I'm just standing and just seeing the breathing as it is. And then from that sort of first place of attention, maybe the aperture of attention can then get broader and broader. And well, that breathing is pulling and moving, and you know, it has its own places that it's trying to express the body into. But sometimes I find that just a nice starting place, like just, oh, what is the breath as it is? And letting it be, like, you know, just again, just letting it be as it is. So that's sometimes I find a nice little gate, you know, and it's amazing from there what will then start to show and unravel and turn. But that takes me away from these sort of bigger senses of just like, say, collapse or what have you. It's like, no, that's a function. It's happening on its own, and I can get curious about it and settle in.
Thanks, Doc.
One other thought. That was all great stuff. One other kind of specific thought there is, I mean, Elijah kind of said this already, but like everyone has different kind of patterns with this, and if you do it long enough, you'll start to recognize some of the ways that your body kind of relates to this. And one thing that could be happening, I don't know, you got to you know dig into it for yourself, but I think it's pretty common is you're trying not to do anything, and there's that neutral is actually scary and totally unknown. And so what in response, you kind of jump past that. You're like, oh, I'm not gonna do anything, and then you jump into like relaxing everything. Um, and it might be that that is actually a way of kind of moving past that kind of that neutral space um, where things are actually about to happen. It's like, oh, that spot's kind of insane, but I know what it's like to relax. So I'll just keep going that direction to this, and then I'm down, and then you've kind of missed that spot. So that in non-directed, it's not really like, okay, just like you know, turn off all the muscles and see what happens. I mean, you could describe it that way, but it may be for for someone like you, it might be helpful to think about it less like that and maybe more um like um like I don't know, like you just stopped doing something and you just stood up, and there's a moment you don't know what you're doing next. You haven't planned it yet and you don't know where you're going yet. And there's just that moment. Then can you take that and just extend that or something and just wait and see, like it might not be as down regulating a process um for how you have to kind of relate to it kind of thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Just on another note, maybe this has been said already, but maybe we even have an idea about what it means to not do anything, that even the not doing is an idea or a pattern that we play out. And for me, it's the case that, or it feels like not doing anything is more like stepping away from it, actually, dissociating and being with it and not doing anything often feels to me like engaging with it, like getting into contact with it, and feels to me like an activity because my pattern and my go-to way is to back off, to collapse or whatever. So it might even be the idea of doing or not doing. I guess that's what Elijah also said. Could be different.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks, Felix. Appreciate it.
Yeah, anybody else want to throw something out there? Really helpful stuff, I think. I think for for me, sorry, I think for me, you know, Miro, you're doing a bunch of O session, or you're sitting a lot, and I think that's right. And for me, within that, I was kind of like, well, okay, but something else is going on here. Something's going on here. Like I gotta take a little space to feel like there's a part that I'm not really addressing here. and I needed some permission to like give everything to being honest about what I was actually experiencing. And like the Zendo was in some ways so great. It's such a hell realm where you have to face things, but it's this Hall of Thorns, this lion's den. But I kind of was like, well, yeah, but there's something I'm not I'm not going into here. That's real, that's apparent, and I need to look at that. I need to yeah, I need to be honest in that. And when I would do that, when I'd go out and I'd stand on my own, um, and I wasn't trying to do it right, that trying to do it right is often, um, it's like it takes the process and it closes it down, trying to do it right. So going in and having time when I didn't have to do it right, it gave me a permission to look at it anew over and over, like what's happening, and it gave me permission to look at it anew. And when I did that, yeah, it's so many things. It's but for me, when I did that, it started to really interesting things lit up. Like, oh my gosh, finally he's listening, and finally I'm listening, and but I could do it also, and I could like not really be curious, and then maybe nothing would happen, or I'd and so I had to learn, it was a way for me to learn how to engage. Like, oh, when I engage in this really honest way, something really interesting happens. And so it's this venue to find that, to again zero in on that. And like Elijah was saying, like you can't understand it. The moment we understand it, we blocked it. And but I do feel like our true nature is bright. Our true nature is profoundly bright. So within touching it, there is a there's a way. Oh, I'm waking up something every day. I'm touching this thing. I have no idea how to touch it, but I'm touching it, and something opens up within that. And everybody has to find their own way to do that. Um, it's okay to not want to exist. That's okay. You touch this great life energy, you'll disappear. That's fine. So it's not bad to, it's I mean, whatever idea we have of ourselves is will be, obliterated within that. So but learn using it as a yeah, this practice, this canvas to see what's actually happening here. And yeah, some of us we overengage, or some of us we underengage, or if we confront something, we get exhausted. So I have to learn how to touch it. And when I touch it, something turns on. When I touch it in this certain way, I collapse, or I get clogged up and then I fall down. Or it may be that your process needs to lay down for a while, and that's okay. But learning to using it as a venue to touch it, learn how to, oh, there's something really interesting happening here. And for me, I have to really care about it. I can't like be like half interested. I can't be like, yeah, I kind of wish I was doing something else. I can't really do the non-directed in that place. It has to be that I give myself to it totally. And so then for many of us, what that becomes is then your life is, you see, I have to give myself completely all the time to what's happening. And that starts to change us. It starts to change us in this really interesting way. So that you get kind of like can't leave that place. You're just in this place of having to give yourself totally to what's happening over and over. And the practice, it shows us when I don't do that, it doesn't work. And so the non-direct is a venue to be able to learn to touch that and let it take over more and more and more and more. I said a lot there, but yeah, there's something. Our true nature is bright. What is that? What's shining there?
Thank you.
What a great group. What a great, lots of experience here, man. People, it's great to see people changing. It's great to see people, you know, touching this stuff and having it transform them. It's really interesting to see. Anybody else want to chime in? We have a 15 minutes left. Really can be simple questions. Can be like, again, what do I do with my knee? All that. I have knee pain. What do I do with that? Or whatever you want to ask. Energetic issues. Let it rip. Honestly. Anything goes here.
I think this is a good time for me to get back to basics because my intention for this immersion was I realized I've gotten a lot better at the like later postures, but Wuji is actually like it's really hard for me to have my knees bent and feel like I'm straight up, just like very basic posture. And I've realized like I always kind of yeah, I'm just like not stable, so I'm working on that. I don't really have a question because I'm just experimenting, but that is what I'm working on. So I guess if anybody has experience with like, oh, I can be in hugging the tree and that feels kind of stable, but like Wuji is just like I'm like, ugh. That's what I'm working on.
People hate Wuji. It's totally hard for people. That's why the 30 minutes is good because 20 minutes in, you'll be like, fuck all of this, all this technique, and then you're like, what's really going on here? And it may be that your posture starts to change within that. Like, oh, I tried all that stuff. That didn't work. So anyway, that 30 minutes of, and I could be a little unstructured with it. Like, don't stand there like He-Man, trying to make this posture happen. Like I'd give it some space, like be there pretty natural in Wuji for that 30 minutes. And anyway, that'll be interesting homework that will inform the other stuff. But maybe somebody else has something to say.
I wanted to ask Felipe, you're a karate teacher, and this was a big thing in karate is getting comfortable with knees bent in movement or standing. And you've worked with a lot of students. Do you have a perspective on this?
Man, well, uh, uh, personally, particularly to Adam, I've seen Adam through the screen, and I would take be a little bit cautious with your knees. They can be not what is be below your feet should be really below your knees. So that instability, I would try to find it through the bubbling well, going through the knees, neutral pelvis, relaxing the hara, and trying to find you lost it, you go back to the ground and trying to find that, like Corey said, like the scaffolding or arranging a pile of books. And it's yeah, we're all always moving, the circulation, the breath is always our weight is always changing. We're like a bag of fluids, really. So to find this balance is really interesting, actually. So maybe perhaps for you, man, I would say that I guess I've seen your knees coming more closer to the other. That could be an issue. Your fascia must be turning a bit inside. But in general, I would say that try to always come from the ground. See if you're standing on the ground all the time. I'm really like Elijah said, I teach karate, the guys can't hear anymore. Come from the ground, come from the ground. You're stepping out of the ground all the time. But it's so obvious when we're not in the ground. We're not using the ground. We're kind of holding the pelvis or holding on your thighs, your glutes, whatever. And it kind of closes the whole thing. So I try to find the ground and coming slowly through the knees, the hips, the pelvis, trying to release there. And this vertical line is true. It's just gravity. There is this vertical line which we can find. It's just pure gravity. So you always have that reference. We're always suffering, feeling the effects of gravity. So that's a constant for us to work with. Yeah. But I have knee problems. I just hurt my meniscus. We're always hurting ourselves. What everybody said here is so true. The body gives those messages that it sends out those messages, for us to change something or just pay attention. Yeah. Hope that helps, man. That helps, man.
Yeah, I think receiving receiving feedback is always useful. So uh gotta stay humble. I don't know. It's uh yeah. I assume I would like get it by now or something, but I think yeah, just gotta feel the ground and then I don't know, it's just frustrating because it feels like I should know like how to position my knees or something, and it's still hard. So that's how it is.
Corey once said that symmetry is fiction. Symmetry is fictional. So that's not what we're trying to find here. So my knee might be a bit different, right to the left. My hips, they're probably quite different, more than we perceive. So that's not really the objective. So I would just allow these discrepancies in the body to show up. How it badly organizes itself, but not evenly, and let those ease out because it wants to find harmony in gravity. It does want to find the better place to sit, But we're always full of ideas. I know how it is. We're always full of ideas, and they're mostly useless, really.
Yeah, it's really helpful. Thank you, Felipe.
It's super humbling. This practice every day, constantly. Just saying. Hey, Jessica, love to hear from you. Yeah, let's hear it.
Hey, Corey.
Hey,
Um, you might recall I emailed you. Yeah. Uh, I have long COVID, chronic fatigue syndrome. Um, and I'm still in like a very deep crash. Um, Sitting up right now is a challenge for me. And I'm quite out of breath. So right up until the last minute, I was on the fence about joining today. To the point where last night I went to bed and I decided not to set an alarm, and I thought to myself, if I wake up before 8 a.m., then it's meant to be. And I woke up at 7:53. I was like, okay, I'm gonna join the Zoom group. Um, I've just joined as a spectator today. Like I can barely stand. Um, I'm so inspired watching you teach this practice. And something in me tells me it's like exactly what I need. Like I've had a really strong interest in Jan Jung for quite some time, and I've practiced it too on my own, when I'm able to. Um, I feel like it's like a missing piece of the puzzle for me. I've been a meditator for 17 years, but something's been telling me like I need to incorporate movement. My body needs to be involved in the practice. So I don't know. I am obviously not physically ready to, well, I won't say obviously. I'm gonna try to approach everything with a attitude of not knowing, beginner's mind and all that. I don't think I'm ready for these movements and postures, but I really want to get there. Um, I feel like it's part of the path I'm on, but just wondering if you or anyone else in the group has any thoughts or advice. on how to, I guess, how to get from where I am to like being able to do these practices. Really tired of being physically limited. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. Yeah. There's a phrase in Japanese, dan dan means little by little. And I just think,
Mhm.
it's gonna be like that. It's gonna be little by little. And it's so great to have a practice or a model that is gives us a different way to interact with ourselves with this, and I think slowly go slow. You can do it. You can do this practice sitting. You can modify it however you need to, and you could sit in a chair and do it. You can just slowly our system can start to come together over time. It might take a long time. For everybody's going to take a long time, but it may be that every cell is trying to change. Every cell is trying to come together, and we can use this as a venue to start to get a sense of that. And that's what I'm doing. That's what everybody's doing. And we all have our own, everybody has their challenges. And I know you have real challenges, and I totally respect that. And I think using the month, using the classes as it works for you, and using your creativity to explore it with us, I think just um, little by little, the getting in touch with the energy a little bit more will start to change things. Not, and it won't be linearly better. It may be that, oh, I felt good, and then I went back a little bit. And then I felt good, and I went back a little bit. And but I do feel like these practices, they're a way to start to get in touch with that more and more, with the energy and being able to work with it. So using this month, or however, as an exploration to see, is there something trying to fill up in a different way than I had imagined, a different way than I was aware of. And for me, I was so um, incredibly relieved to see that this is, in some way, this is all trying to happen for me. That changed my life dramatically. And so just little by little, letting the process, finding our own creative way to let it work on us. And it's in being inspired. For me, seeing my teacher, in many ways, what he was inspiring to me. That's it. And so he inspired me to find my own way with it. And I think that's really valuable. Anybody else want to throw anything out there about this? Great to have you here, Jessica, and join us however you
Thank
need
you.
to.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd say that's actually pretty much how I came into this practice in a way. Um, yeah, chronic illness, chronic pain, breathing problems, being tired all the time, couldn't get out of bed. I think for 8 months I was in my bed pretty much. In college I had mono. Um,
Mm.
yeah, no, I'd all of that. And I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I'm cured. It's been, I don't know, 12 months now or a bit more. But yeah, even this year or a bit more, I mean, just like Corey says, if you just be patient and try it as you see fit. And what's cool about the practices is like, yeah, you can do it in a chair, you can do it on your back, Really all you have to do is try to be honest and, try to be with what's going on. It's really all it takes, You don't even have to do the postures if it's too much. Um, So yeah, I'd say as you start to feel better, as you build up the courage and it feels right, just try a couple minutes here and there and see where it takes you. Yeah, I still have times, days, weeks where I'm tired and I can't get out of bed or I can't breathe or, I'm in so much pain, I just want to cry. But no, it really, really it's helped me a lot. It's really helped me a lot. Uh, so yeah, I'd say you're in a good place, you're in the right place. You even said, yeah, you even said, I've had this interest for quite some time and it feels right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'd say just be patient, be gentle, and yeah, just have an open mind and see where it takes you and be curious.
Thank you.
It's it's a really challenging place to be in with long COVID. I have a client who's really struggles with long COVID and has like pretty rough memory loss from it and stuff. Um, but I was thinking as you were talking, for you can say we're doing energy work here. And I think for a long time for people, when we talk about energy work, it's sort of it's not distinct from um this basic kind of like energy, like, oh, I slept well and I feel energized kind of energy that we can talk about. Um, and at some point, if you do this long enough, people like have to crash and they have to discover that the real energy that's going on here, the great life energy, has nothing to do with that.
With
Uh,
what? Has nothing to do with what?
with our like day-to-day energy, like I
Mm,
slept well or something, I feel good, or I'm not sick now, so now my energy's back.
okay.
Um, I mean, it can't, even if we die, there's great life energy. And you've been given this incredibly difficult situation, but what it might allow you to do is to kind of be really serious about like, I don't have my normal energy, but like what is still there? What can I find still in that? It's not necessarily going to change you into being, super energized and feeling amazing. But is there something that, this really difficult state is going to force you to kind of discover through this work? Um, I think that's sort of a very interesting place that you might be able to come from with this. And there's a lot of people who come in, they feel great, they're starting and this is cool and they're going to do it and they could go, months and months or years. And they're good at the ZZ and they can do long periods in the ZZ and they think they're doing great. But there's this they're still relying on just feeling um, just they're still relying on their normal energy patterns.
Okay.
And so that can actually be a really long like crutch that people have for a long time. And Corey talks about this all the time, but he had to get really sick for the practice to really mature for him. Um, God, I've gone through all sorts of yeah, I've gone through, being totally wiped out and knocked out and um also not sleeping for days, which is a few people here who've, you know, gone really deep with this stuff that's a common pattern, just like what happens when I'm just a zombie for days. And so, you know, I think what's really hard for you is that you've been given this kind of like I can't get out of it situation. How do I work with that? But at the same time, there's something that you can do with that is beautiful and that a lot of people would kind of avoid for a very long time because it's so uncomfortable. and would prefer to say, well, I feel great with my energy like this. I got a good night's sleep, I ate well, and now I do my ZZ and I just feel great. And you can stay with that and you can avoid, you know, um, the challenge of like, can I really live without all of these other things? Can I really find what's like can't be taken away from me energetically?
Mhm. You mentioned something great life energy. Is that what you said? Is that
Yeah,
is that the
I'm
term you
just
used?
yeah, I'm just stealing words from Corey. That's how he talks
Okay.
about it.
I'm
But
very new to this. I don't know that term, so I got some learning to do. But it
yeah.
intrigued me.
Well, what I
Yeah.
meant by that, and um, I mean, check out Corey's blog because he talks about it a lot there. But what I just meant by that is we've got all sorts of ways we get energy, like from sleep and food and ZZ even to an extent, um, or running energizes us and stuff. All this stuff. Um, but there's a deeper process, I think, that goes on that just isn't related to any of that. And it doesn't come and go. It doesn't it's not located to us as like individuals. It's just not like that. And and I think that's really what this work is about. Um, is tapping into something larger than us and that shapes us. Um, but that
Yeah.
requires giving up a lot of control, basically. And that's when that sort of starts to filter in.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think I I think I want to go all in with this. I don't even know what that looks like. I'm completely bewildered and intimidated. But like something is telling me like I really need to do this and it came to me at this time for a reason and like this is the time to do it, not to like wait until I can stand more easily and stuff. I don't know how. I don't see like the way, but I just know I gotta try. I'm gonna try my best. Yeah.
I would read some of Corey's art like essays, blogs, stuff too, because I
Okay.
think I think you'll get a lot out of that, and it's a good place to start, especially if like you're kind of bedridden and stuff. You can read some articles. So
Yeah. Um, and Corey mentioned that I could adapt these postures to lie down or sit. Um, I don't know how to do that, but I would like to learn. I think that would be a good starting place for me. Yeah. Maybe start with the lying down version for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Um, yeah, just hearing you talk about it, like I don't know, it like touched something in me. Like I just feel like it's it's the right time, even though it doesn't seem like it, it feels like it. So I'm gonna try. Thank you.
I just want to mention very briefly, because you spoke to Kari, so you probably already know, but just in case not, he does these distance healing sessions, which could be interesting.
Okay.
They're interesting, so I would recommend these to try out.
Okay, I didn't know that. Actually, but I'm open to anything. Yeah, that sounds interesting. Thank you. Sounds like it could be helpful.
What a great group. Thanks so
Mhm.
much, everybody. What a great discussion call. Really appreciate everyone sharing. Um, yeah, so I'll send out a little theme for the week. I usually do. It's this week is always Tandem. The first week is always discovering and working with the Tandem. But yeah, please join the Discord if you have not already. And the rooms should be cranking. Probably people will be going into the practice rooms throughout the day. So please join one room a day if you can. That'd be a goal. And you think, why would I go into these rooms? That's crazy, but they're awesome. They're really helpful. Okay. See you soon. I'll be here at 1 my time for the non-directed class. Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.